Hey folks, thank you again for coming to Back to Basics for Season 3. Today we're going to speak with Shelley Goldstein, and we're going to find out what she's all about. But today we're going to talk about spice of life, because we do have variety of spices, but then we also have variety of life. And that's what we're going to talk about in detail, about many, many different things. So let's stop talking to me and let's get into the episode on Back to Basics. I'll see you there.
Hey, Back to Basics. It's Shelley Goldstein here. I want to thank you for reminding me everything in life is back to basics. Want to learn more? Subscribe below.
Hi folks, thank you again for coming to Back to Basics. You know, we have done the intro, we've done all the logistics. Let's go and speak with our guest to find out who and what and why Shelley is. You know, it's all about spice of life. It's all about creativity. It's all about variety. And that's what Shelley's all about. This is what this episode is all about. But the thing is that we don't know how the episode is going is because that's just how life is. So let's stop talking to me. Let's talk to Shelley and let's get to know her better. Shelley, how are you? And thank you for coming to Back to Basics.
I am great. It is wonderful to be here, and thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. Actually, it's my honor. You know, you and I chatted on my pre-call and we had the fabulous time. And it seems like we really didn't want to hang up on the call because I think we just became great friends and great interaction between the two of us. And thank you again for coming here. But before we spice up or variety up the episode, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
Well, speaking of spicy, there is so much variety in the programming, and there is really something for everybody. So if we were to stick to the spiciness theme, if variety is the spice of life, the Back to Basics is the habanero of podcasts.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that because it seems like it's a buffet of everything what we cover, and thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for coming here. Um, Shelley, let's put it this way: why do you say that there's a variety of life? Why do you think that we need a little spice of life? What are your thoughts on that?
It intrigues and inspires curiosity.
Okay.
I believe as a speaking coach, everybody has a story to tell. And as humans, we know people are drawn to stories. The variety of those stories, the variety of the journeys, people's thoughts and ideas, when spoken, we connect to those journeys and stories. And then we're more compelled and curious to learn more or share our own. And that just makes it interesting.
But Shelley, if you and I have the same story, is it boring, or is it the way we tell our stories is boring?
That is a really interesting question. I would challenge if any two individuals had the same story, because you could put two people in the same room experiencing the same happening, and they will have two different approaches to that storytelling. That leads me to say storytelling is unique to all of us, and it really is sharing that story and how important it is to us. That can't be replicated by anybody else, how we feel and how we've experienced our happenings in life.
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining that. So I'm going to give you two scenarios, if that's okay with you. You know, we have two people, let's say you and me, okay? We are successful people. I mean, I feel. But the stories are a little different, right? Because one is a college dropout and the other is a college graduate. but we're doing the same damn thing and we're successful in both ways. So, does your story kind of match up with me, or do you think that you don't see each other's struggles? Because I think there are different struggles between the both of us, right, to get to that success. So, how do you explain that variety of story?
Wow. It really isn't telling the story. If we take the time to really have a moment to share what's important in our values and how we did that, it's likely I may not have experienced your exact situation, but I can connect on some level to some detail, certainly to an emotion, and start as you're speaking, thinking of my journey and how it aligns, or how it may be different, and how I can learn from you.
Hmm. Or from each other, for that matter, right?
Yes,
Because I think
absolutely.
because that's just what the life is all about, right? So let me ask you this: I'm pretty sure you have lost someone along the way, and so have I. Does that mean that I relate with you because we have lost someone in our lives, or you don't see the struggles that I've gone through versus your struggles?
Well, it's hard to share. It's hard to truly understand, because they say, you've heard the phrase, you won't know until you walk in my shoes. But everybody's version of pain, we could both break our leg and we're going to have a different experience of what that pain really is.
Hmm.
However, I mentioned emotion earlier, and when we express stories and we talk about how we feel about things, less about what we think or the processes or the details of, the summary of what had happened. We get into the details and the emotional struggle. We'll connect on those emotions. I feel pain. Ooh, share your version of pain.
Hmm.
It's all going to be unique to us. We can listen and learn and empathize because we can relate on our own version of that pain. Oh, yes, I've had pain. I haven't broken a leg, but I broke my arm. Or as you mentioned, I've lost somebody. And I did. I've lost quite a few people, unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks. My loss is going to be a very different experience than your loss, but we can both probably connect on the pain of that loss, the
Hmm.
emotional connection to that loss, the loss of the love, the endearing qualities of the being that we cared for. And hopefully we will continue a conversation to learn how unique your loss is, your pain, what made yours unique to you,
Hmm.
and
But
vice versa.
yeah, but thank you so much, Shelley. But I want people to understand, whoever's listening here, is that this is not a competition. That your pain is worse than mine or
Right.
better or anything like that. I mean, pain is a pain no matter what, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a fact. But people, they connect. It's a shameful thing, but people connect with more pain versus more happiness. That's an oxymoron situation, isn't it? What do you think?
I don't know that that's true.
Okay.
I can't answer that. I mean, I think of happy times in my life, and certainly, when we reflect on college days or a great vacation and you're hanging out with people or a great event somewhere, we'll all say, God, that was such a great time.
Hmm.
We can relate. I think it's really individual to all of us.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you so much, Shelley. You know, let me ask you this. How did you get to where you are today? Because it seems like you have so much knowledge, and I've seen your work in a nice positive stalking way. Uh, so can you explain to people who you are? Then we'll just go from there, if you don't mind.
Oh, that's it. Who I am is a person that takes great appreciation and gratitude on leading people to help them find their voice. There's a trust factor. And I know it's not easy to trust people, but when you do the work of learning how to be a confident public speaker, there is a core essence of why you are that way. And sometimes it's the surprise as it is, it's a little deeper than say the symptoms of hand gestures and eye contact. That's important, but it's really the being. And for me, as a person, I find that it's not easy to trust people. So I take that very seriously. And that leads me to greater outreach. I want to help more people. I want them to be self-expressed. I believe we're all leaders at every level. And I believe we all have a voice, and we deserve to share our story to someone somewhere and not feel shamed or imposter syndrome or competitive, as you mentioned before. It is our version. It is our story.
So, Shelley, thank you again for that. Let me ask you this: we live in a world of the digital world. Lately, we've been living in the world of voice versus video, and video is very visual, right? And I can tell that I can trust you. But how can I trust you through voice, right? So is it the way I speak? Is it the way I articulate? Is it the way my words are? I mean, how can you trust someone by an actual voice frequency versus visual? Can you explain that?
Well, if you go back in time, even before the internet and video and all this, we did have radio. Storytelling is the very first ways we communicated as beings on this planet, right? Cavemen were etching drawings on the sides of walls of caves, and storytelling has been the underlying theme to everything, to why we are here today, why we have songs, why we have plays, why we have books and things of that nature. And along that way, radio came in. And as we were visual, we looked at the pictures, then the sound, we started making sounds. Then we started responding to those words, those noises, until language started to develop. The more we move on, and then we had radio and TV and visual, yes, there's just more visualization happened, and there's more overload sensory, if you will. We actually hear better. We actually tune in more when we are focused perhaps only on listening. It's actually a better vehicle because we're not distracted. And if we close our eyes and we just listen to words, and we can hear the passion in somebody's voice, the excitement in somebody's voice, the anger in somebody's voice, we can really get an essence. And we rely on that sense to be okay enough. We might be surprised at how impacting people's words can land on us.
Shelley, thank you again for explaining that, because the first thing came in my mind is that one of my doctors many years ago, he's a very monotone doctor. I never knew that if he was joking or being serious or whatever, right? But I think I've known him many years. I kind of figured out his joke sense, right? But some people, they don't know how to act their voice. Does that make sense?
Oh, I would never want you to act your voice. I'm going to correct that only because I believe, and I'm not trying to discredit you, but it's like just hearing the word act. If you're going to be intentional about how you feel and what you say, I would hope, and I know you are, expressing how you feel from the heart. You're speaking from how you feel, from what is important to you. Acting is truly for the people that make movies, that get paid to memorize lines and perform. That perhaps is the biggest challenge, is that we are either in a professional world conditioned, because that's the way it's been, to have a certain sound and look and feel when we're in the workplace. But the truth is, being expressive and sharing how you feel is so important, especially in business, especially at home, especially with friends. It's all of the above. We want Shelley to show up as Shelley everywhere, Girish to show up as Girish everywhere, not just weekend Girish, work Girish, radio. No, bring yourself wholly everywhere you go. And this person that might have a monotone voice, that could very much be their natural state. But if they got their hand caught in the car door, I bet we would hear some emotion. So it's there to be let out. It's there to be explored.
Shelley, thank you again for correcting me. But thank you again for that. Earlier today, I saw an interview of a Bollywood actor. There are many Bollywood movies that he's into, and he's done that for 40 plus years now, right? What really intrigued me is what he mentioned is that he's done many scenes that his mom passed away in the scene. Okay. And it's called acting because that's just what actors do. And when his mom actually passed away, he didn't realize that should he be acting or did he already exhausted his emotions before? So what are your thoughts on that part? Because I think it's a facade of acting in all the way real life, right? So real versus real. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow. I guess I'm not an actor.
No.
So I don't know that world. And that's an exploration for all of us. Just back in the beginning, when we were talking about pain, we all have a version of pain. And perhaps this individual has a facade up when they're performing, and they need to maybe take a deeper dive into that them as a person, not as an actor. Take off the mask and sit with your raw feelings, which is not always easy to do. It's very hard to do.
But Shelley, that sounds really exhausting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost you for a second. Do you think that it's exhausting for him? Do you think?
To get in touch with his real, to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Some actors do get really sucked into the emotion. I've heard stories about that. It is a very real possibility. I think getting in touch with our honest feelings and thoughts does require a lot of energy. And it's not always bad, even if it's a sad scenario. But energy is the flow in our bodies. That's the energy is what sparks the emotion. And then the thought comes. So it requires some degree of energy and just spending time in not only your thoughts, but how do you feel about your thoughts? How do you feel about things? And we are not a great society on really being fully expressed in that way. There's been a lot of shame and we experiencing that now today. We don't want you to be emotional.
I mean, it's a fact. I mean, people are blaming society. People are blaming gender, because men are not supposed to cry, right? I mean, that's the perception. So I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what the wrong answer is, but I think we're coming to a point that I think we're learning when it comes to emotions and how we should be coming to that same frequency, to the same level as everyone else. So I agree what you're saying, and I hope everyone else is. So thank you again for that. Shelley, we started a new segment on Back to Basics, which is the rapid fire round. We're going to be asking some few questions and some few words. Whatever word pops in your head, we'll just go from there. How about that?
Oh, sounds like fun. I
Okay.
love games.
Awesome. Awesome. So the first word is going to be spice.
The Spice Girls. Do you want me to just respond with the word, whatever
That's it.
comes to mind?
That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
I did. The Spice Girls.
Habanero.
Peppers.
Okay. Variety.
Difference of opinion.
Stories.
I love them.
Emotions.
We need more emotions to be expressed.
Process.
Processing could prevent us from being emotional.
Feeling.
If you feel it, they will feel it.
Speaking.
We speak a lot and we don't always say a lot.
Acting.
Acting is for actors.
Okay. Mask.
Mask is something we hide behind.
Okay. Remarkable.
It is remarkable to speak remarkably. And when you do, your chair becomes a throne.
Real versus real.
Real versus, in the world of Chat GPT, that's a good question of how we're going to distinguish real versus real.
Okay. Nobody.
Nobody has the right to tell you your story is not important.
Life.
Life is worth living.
Silent.
Silence
Okay.
is powerful when we speak.
Shelley.
Shelley really enjoys being on podcasts like this.
Okay. And the last one is back to basics.
At the end of the day, when we get back to basics, we really understand what our mission is.
Shelley, thank you again for being a sport on, playing the rapid fire round on back to basics.
It was fun.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. I didn't really challenge you enough on that.
It was fun. Different. Can say I've never played that before, so it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. So Shelley, let me ask you this. Is there a book, a movie, a music, anything that really enjoys your life to the fullest?
I have such a challenge when it comes to favorite anything because, like back to basics, I like variety. I like things always challenging and influencing me. Oh gosh, a favorite anything.
Or anything that you're listening to today or reading today that you're enjoying?
I just finished a film that I thought was really quite remarkable, and it's called The Sun After Sun. And it has very little dialogue to it. It's very visual, and it's as if you're watching one long photograph. And it's such a beautiful story between a parent and child relationship. It's both poignant and sad and beautiful and engaging all at the same time.
Yeah, thank you again, Shelley, for being a sport on sharing that. And I think I've heard of that movie, and I think I might enjoy it too. So I'll watch that later in the future. But Shelley, let me ask you this: there's a lot of things in this world that we are rapidly changing, and there's a lot of variety stuff happening, just like you just mentioned about ChatGPT just for a second there. What would you advise yourself back in the 20s when you were 20s? I mean, to be aware of what's happening today, or would you do something different? when it comes to the variety world?
Absolutely. Especially at age 20, let go.
Hmm.
Don't lean into the judgments and the voices in my head that I think are real. Look at what's real outside,
Hmm.
because that's the story, that's the world, that's the freedom.
Hmm.
We hold ourselves back.
But Shelley, with the media in the world, with the podcast in the world, with the TVs in the world, and the shows in the world, we get kind of sucked right into it. How do we stop ourselves? Because I think we need to take a break from everything else, right? I mean, just a few days ago, I had no internet service at all
Ooh.
because there was a car accident nearby.
Oh.
So, and I said to myself, what am I going to do? And I said, I'm going to read. And then I realized that I didn't have internet service. There was no Kindle. So people are
Oh.
living in the technology world now. How do you stop yourself to back in the day world or back to basic world?
Back to basic world. Well, it's something that I work with my clients when coaching and speaking.
Mm,
Slow down, take that breath. And when you tell a story, you can tell the same story 3 times, 10 times, 100 times. But
mm,
if you find yourself reliving that moment and you take it, that deep breath, and relive the moment, you can see new perspectives
mm,
of that same situation and new things you hadn't seen before. In other words, you're noticing your life and you're stopping and smelling the flowers that
mm,
we often rush by.
mm,
And when one door closes, another one opens. If there's no power, we lost power here a couple of weeks ago. It's an opportunity to take that walk outside, sit in
mm,
the fresh air, go for a drive and visit somebody, read, as you said, maybe pick up a book because your Kindle's not working and get a hardcover book. It's an opportunity to experience something else.
mm. Yeah, Shelley, thank you again for sharing those nuggets and small nuggets of what you have, and you came to my show and made me really honored, and thank you again for that. But before you leave today, do you have any last words to all my Back to Basic listeners, and how was your journey on Back to Basics too on top of that?
Well, the journey's been great. You ask really interesting questions. I must say they're not out of the can, and it's definitely thought provoking. And on my end, I'm going to think more about some of these questions. What I'd like to share with your listeners is this is about speaking, right? We're speaking, I'm expressing myself, we're having a great conversation. Don't feel that your words are not important. We all have the ability to speak and share our stories. And when we do that, we show up in the world in a different way. We are more remarkable for it. We are acknowledged for it. We share our achievements. And it helps also to share others' acknowledgments and achievements.
Yeah.
So use your voice.
Shelley, thank you again for that, and I'm definitely I've said this before, but thank you again for coming here and uh, giving the shine of this episode about variety in life and how we should be thinking on the outside the box thinking than just closed minded. But thank you again for coming here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. It's really been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. So, guys, we spoke with Shelley today, right? And we talked about the basics of life and we talked about the variety of life. Life is so precious, isn't it? I mean, we think that, when someone comes on your door and saying that I want to sell you life insurance, have you thought that maybe I'm too young, right, to think of life insurance? But honestly, life is too short. Just like enjoy your life the way it is supposed to be. That's from a lifestyle point of view. Now, as usual, as always, there's a quote of the day from Back to Basics. How about find out the quote for today? Variety's the very spice of life. that gives it all its flavor. Have you thought of how many flavors do you put in your food? It's the same process for life. There are many, many different spices that you want to put into. And that's what we're trying to do. Give a variety of life, variety of speaking, variety of remarkable speaking. And that's what the show is all about, guys. Now, as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care. I will see you next time on Back to Basics. Take care.
I love the variety that you bring to it. And I think, you've got like something for everybody. And I'm happy to just, you gave me free reign to just say, bring up a topic, and you're a good interviewer. So I feel like I'm in good hands.
Awesome. Hi guys, thank you again for tuning in to Back to Basics and listening to the excellent episode that we had today with our guest. With your love and support, we do need you to at least rate our show, review our show, because it does make us stronger day by day, week by week, as I usually say on my episodes. And there are 3 things in this episode that it makes a hit for me, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. So guys, take care, God bless, and remember, everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care, God bless, and see you next time on Back to Basics.